When I first got the AYN Thor, I genuinely thought that I was going to hate this device. If I'm completely honest, it was purely FOMO that got me to actually pull the trigger and buy it. At the end of the day, I don't play retro games. I'm not a big fan on tinkering too much with devices. And as far as I was concerned, gaming on Android would be a joke at best, especially when I've already got a Steam Deck as well as a PC plus a PC handheld. Like, what purpose would this device really fulfill in my life? It just didn't make sense. I've been using the AYN Thor as my daily driver now for nearly 2 months, and I honestly couldn't have been more wrong about my initial thoughts. It's definitely safe to say that the honeymoon period is well and truly over. And today, I want to go through why I think that this device is probably my favorite release so far of 2026. Now, the device that I picked up, the model that I picked up, I should say, is the AYN Thor Max. So my experience has purely been with the Max. I haven't tried a lighter version at all. I haven't really pushed this to its limits too much in terms of actual gameplay. I've done a lot of game testing, but what we're working with here is the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, along with 16 gigabytes of RAM and a terabyte of storage. I did manage to pick up one of the original UFS 4.0 models, so it's not the downgraded 3.1, but the reality is that's not going to make a difference either way. All that is really going to affect is your overall transfer speeds. If you're dragging and dropping a 100 gig file over to the AYN Thor, the newer ones are going to be a little bit more delayed in that aspect. Otherwise, it's not really a concern in terms of overall gameplay and the experience you're going to get. You are not going to notice it at all. Now, before I get into the build quality, the display, or anything about my experience over the last couple of months, I just wanted to go through why I bought the Thor, my expectations of buying it, and what purpose I was actually getting this thing for. And as I said at the beginning, I genuinely don't know why I got this device. I saw it advertised, it looked nice, it looked cool. I never owned a 3DS back in the day, and I thought maybe I'll see how this thing goes. The thing that enticed me the most was the dual screen OLED displays. We got 6 inches at the top, I think it was 3.5 or 4 inches at the bottom, and being able to have something in my pocket where I could easily access games or YouTube or whatever it might be that easily really appealed to me. I'm not too interested about playing retro games. I've tried. The furthest back I would go is probably 3DS, and I'm like, I wouldn't actually mind playing some 3DS games, or maybe even PSP. That's absolutely fine, but I'm not going to go really. I'm not really going to go further back than that. I've tried GBA, GBA Color, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and they're all just a little bit too dated for me to enjoy on a full time gaming basis. I do love indie games, which is why I thought maybe I'll give those games a shot, but it didn't really stick with me. Now, my expectations before buying this were very, very low. I didn't go into it with much hope at all. I thought it looks nice. It's got the dual screens. It's got the ability to put on thousands of games, but I didn't know what I was actually going to use it for. I knew I had to do a lot of setup, which I'm not familiar with, so that was going to be a big learning curve for me. It was Android based, which is also completely out of the park for me. I always looked at Android games as pay to win gotcha games or Candy Crush. I wasn't too sure what I was actually going to play on this thing. I wasn't necessarily looking at this as a replacement for my Steam Deck or my PC at all, purely just a device that I could put in my pocket and have some fun when I've got a quick 10, 15 minutes of game time. I might put on an old game just to have a race or a fight in the old Tekkens or something like that. I didn't think too much about it at all. So it's very safe to say that I went into this with very, very low expectations, and I honestly thought that I was going to play on it, put it on my shelf, and not really touch it again for a very long time. But that is definitely not what happened, and it's not the case in my situation. But before we get into that, let's just have a look at the build quality for a second, okay? Now, this thing, I don't know if you can see that properly. This thing is absolutely stunning to look at, and it is so freaking comfortable to hold. It does have its quirks, all right? And we'll get into the quirks a little bit later, like the triggers and the right analog stick, the button placement being at the bottom and everything, but overall, this 6-inch display at the top and that little one at the bottom are absolutely perfect for what it's supposed to do. The weight of the device is not too heavy at all. It is very, very light. The buttons are very clicky on the right. The D-pad's very clicky. It's got that old school nostalgic feeling of holding a Game Boy or something. The actual analog sticks, and I'll try and get that in there for you, they're pretty much flush with the face of the actual device itself, okay? And they are just so smooth to use. I can't fault the analog sticks at all, aside from the fact that the right one is a little bit too low on the right-hand side. So you're kind of cramping your fingers a little bit when you try to use that. The A, B, X, and Y buttons, very clicky, very satisfying to play with. I've put in a couple of 100 hours on this device. Unfortunately, it's a long time in my life, in about a month. But I've put in a couple of 100 hours on this, and the buttons haven't faltered at all. I have seen some people complaining that their triggers, the springs and the triggers ended up going. I haven't seen any complaints about the actual hinge. I know there's some concerns about the hinge quality. It is a new device. It's a new company. They haven't been around that long for me to say, nope, it's safe. Go ahead, buy it, and don't let that be a concern, because it definitely is a concern. But from all the stuff that I can tell, it is absolutely fine. And AYN are very quick to send replacements parts for you. Yes, you've got to install it yourself and fix it yourself, but they are pretty quick to help you with that kind of thing should it happen. Now, the overall comfort of the device, it just fits perfectly into your hands. It fits perfectly into your pockets, into your backpack, your jacket pocket, wherever you want to put this device. It is so freaking easy to pick it up and take it with you wherever you go. Since I've got this, I take it to work with me every single day. Anytime I'm leaving the house, I make sure I've got my phone, my keys, and my AYN Thor. It has just become a part of my daily pickup. I cannot leave the house without it. The battery life on this thing is second to none. It outshines my Steam Deck. It outshines my Asus ROG, obviously. The Switch 2. Any other device that I own, this thing absolutely demolishes it. And that includes the other retro devices like the Retroid Pocket, the Mio Mini Plus, all of that. This one by far gets me the furthest out of any other device that I own. Now, the overall ergonomics on it, it's very comfortable. It is very lightweight, but it does have its downsides, okay? Your triggers and the right analog stick are not the best out of the box. There are accessory packs you can buy on Etsy for the triggers to fix that problem. And straight out of the box, if you're holding this device and you don't have this TPU shell installed, because of the placement on the buttons, depending on how big your hands are, and I've mentioned this in previous videos before, but my hand rests like this. Okay, so I've got my pinky on the bottom left, and unfortunately, when I'm gaming, that pinky is positioned either directly on the volume up position or directly on the power button. So if without that TPU case, you are constantly pressing these buttons with your pinky. Luckily, with the TPU case, it adds on that little bit of distance at the bottom between where your finger's going to sit and the actual buttons. So all of a sudden, that problem's gone. Now, when I try to address the issue for the right analog stick, playing without the grips, you have the issue. It is in a very weird and uncomfortable position because your palm is so high towards the analog stick. It's just not a comfortable reach. But once again, easily solved with their grips. So I ended up ordering the accessories case after I got the device. So it took a little while for them to come, but if I do need to use that right thumbstick for a game for a long period of time, chuck on the grips and it just feels like a normal controller at that point. All of a sudden, all my ergonomic issues are completely gone. So if you are picking up this device and you haven't ordered an accessories pack, I'd highly recommend either jump onto Etsy to pick up grips or a TPU shell or just something, because that will make a massive difference in your overall gaming experience. Otherwise, if you're happy to wait for it, contact AYN and just get an accessories pack sent out to you. That's also an option. Now, the display on these things. Another thing I was concerned about seeing some videos while I was waiting for it to arrive is how reflective this device is going to be. Especially with the black model, I've seen it online. It just looks like an absolute mirror when you're outside. But having this for a while now, I can comfortably say that has never been an issue. Given I don't have the black one, but it is still a glass face at the bottom and the top. But the overall brightness in the OLED screen combats any kind of reflection you're going to get out in the wild every day of the week. And luckily, with the rainbow color that I've got here, I'm not getting a lot of smudges or anything like that on the glass. Granted, now that I've got a screen protector and I've got the TPU shell, it's not going to be holding as much grease and grime anyway. But even before I was using this, it was completely fine. The black one, on the other hand, might be a little bit trickier. Now, we've got two different refresh rates on this device. At the top, you got 120 Hz, 6-inch OLED display, whereas the bottom, you got a 3.9-inch OLED, and that's at 60 Hz. One thing I've noticed with this is if you have your base settings to 120 Hz, the top screen looks absolutely beautiful while you're playing games, but if you are utilizing that bottom screen at 120, because it's not at that 120, it's trying to overcompensate, and you see a lot of that tearing or ghosting, whatever it's called. So if you want a smooth screen on both of them, you do have to cap it at 60 Hz for the top and the bottom. But given the size of the screen, it doesn't make that much of a difference to the eye anyway. You can't really tell if it's at 60 or 120. And there's not going to be a lot of instances where you need to worry about having that perfect visual look on both screens. Now, I've compared the screens to my Steam Deck OLED and I've compared them to my Asus ROG. Asus ROG obviously has got the LCD, it doesn't have the OLED. Steam Deck has the OLED. Now, looking at all three side by side, this screen to me is my absolute favorite. The LCD is what it is. It's obviously your blacks aren't as black. The colors aren't popping as much, but it is still a very good quality screen. I don't know what magic Asus have put into their devices, but the overall quality on the LCD panels are really, really nice. The Steam Deck also, same thing, very, very nice screen. But after using this device for quite some time, when I open the Steam Deck now, the little blurriness around some of the character models or the writing become very obvious to my eyes, which I never noticed before. And now it's just right there in front of me and I can't unsee it. The crispness you get from this little 6-inch device so far, everything that I've got at home, this is by far the best looking screen. And I know it's smaller, but where it lacks in size, it definitely gains that back in overall quality and overall experience you're getting while you're using the device. Now, I've seen some questions asked if anyone has any, if there's any light bleed or anything like that from the bottom panel, because I have seen a couple of people on Reddit post about that. I've experienced no faults at all with the hardware, the screens, the software. It has been flawless. I'm getting no light bleeding. It is just overall for me with this one. I don't know if I just got a good one out of the batches, but this is, I have no complaints at all. I've had nothing go wrong for me so far, knock on wood. Now, if I jump into the performance, this is what actually shook me the most. Because if you look online, you're looking at YouTubers and everything, it is so heavily marketed as an Android emulation device, which it is. It genuinely is just an emulation device. But what I failed to realize in that is this thing can handle Switch games so freaking well. It just blew my mind. I mainly wanted this for 3DS, PSP. I didn't think I was going to be playing Steam on here, or Switch was just, I didn't even consider it as an option. But I own a Switch 1 and a Switch 2, and if I had to choose between the Switch 1, the Switch 2, or this, I'm choosing this every day of the week. In some cases, I'm getting better performance on the AYN Thor than what I am on the Switch 2. Sorry, not the Switch 2, the Switch 1. And obviously with the Android games that are in the Google Play Store, you've got full access to the Google Play Store, and I know they've got their own little game pass as well. I think it's called a Play Pass or something. There are a lot of games that I had no idea were actually ported over to Android. So you go into their Android store and there are a ton of the indie games that you can just buy and download natively, and they are very cheap because it's on the App Store. So it's not an expensive investment at all if you want to play those games. Stardew Valley is a great one. I think that's about $10 on the Play Store, which was a very, very small investment for potentially hundreds of hours of game time if you're into that kind of game. And all the Android games that I've tested, I've tried the big ones, Where Winds Meet, I've tried Neverness to Everness or whatever it was, Diablo Immortal. I've tried those big games and I get no stuttering. I get crystal clear performance. The graphics and the screens are just gorgeous. It's just unfortunate that these games are pay to win, and I'm not into those games long term at all. You know, and if you're only playing these games on your mobile phone, this is going to be an absolute massive step up for you. It is just so pretty to look at. Now, if we're also looking at performance and we're going back to emulation, you know, we can do the GameCube, the Wii U, 3DS, GBA, GBC, GB, whatever device you want to put on here, you can easily put it on here. All right. It took me about an hour to set this thing up. I followed an online guide and I just went step by step, followed everything to the T, and it was just perfect. And I haven't needed to really tweak anything beyond the initial setup. I might need to change a driver here and there depending on the game that I'm trying to play, but other than that, it's very, very simple to use once the initial setup is done. And your entire game library is just opened up to so many different options. Now, the one emulation app that I was unsure about that I've spent by far my most time on was Game Native. I know that some people use Game Hub, but if you're not familiar with Game Hub or Game Native is an app that lets you basically emulate your Steam games. And I've done a lot of testing on this to see how far I can push it. I tried Elden Ring the other day. Not a good experience, not just because it's a shit game, but because it's just too much of a big game to run on this device. I wasn't expecting it to run, but I thought I'd give it a crack. But if you want to play your lightweight Steam games, your farming games, your roguelike games and all that, the games that are generally most popular on Steam Deck, if you look at the Steam charts, majority of those you can get running on this thing, no issues at all, no tinkering needed, just plug and play, perfect performance. Not to mention you got PS2 as well. PS2 runs flawlessly. I haven't run into any issues with the PS2. So for under $1,000 Australian, I think I paid $800 for this. I've now got access to all my PS2 library, 3DS, all the older retro games, as well as Steam lightweight games, Switch 1 games. I put all my Switch 1 games on there, and it hasn't missed a beat at all. And Coupled with that, I've got a huge battery life as well. The only time my battery starts to suffer is if I'm playing a medium weight game on Steam. It does start to drain the battery pretty quickly, but otherwise I'm getting several hours. I had a week of just 3DS games and I didn't need a charger for 2 or 3 days. I didn't even think about charging it. I forgot that I actually can charge it. I was just able to pick it up, resume where I left off, no issue at all. The sleep mode works very, very well. I don't need to put it on charge. If I let this sleep for a couple of days and come back to it, I've barely lost any battery at all. May lose a couple of percentage points, but nothing dramatic. Now, my software experience on Android. This is the one I was really unsure about. The initial setup wasn't easy. Well, it was and it wasn't. It was in the sense that there are really good guides out there, and if you have the patience and you've got the time to just sit down and just follow it step by step, it is pretty easy. The tricky part is just trying to figure out initially where all your files need to go to get it working properly. And dumping your BIOS files and your games and all that as well does take a significant amount of time. But once you've got everything set up, and you can pre-set this up on an SD card before your device arrives as well, or if you've already got it all set up, it's as simple as just plugging it in and going off from there. The launcher itself isn't anything special. It's like turning on a normal Android mobile. I use the Cocoon launcher, so I get the benefit of both the dual screens. It is very, very optimized for the AYN Thor. It takes you back to exactly how you'd expect a 3DS to be. It runs flawlessly. I'm not getting a ton of updates like I do with my Windows handhelds. If I want to look for a specific update, I just go into where my emulators are, swipe down. I use Obtainium to manage everything, and it's just as easy as pressing that update button. It'll give you a quick couple of updates for emulators, and that's about it. It doesn't need a significant amount of time to update. You don't need to restart the device or nothing like that. Very, very easy to maintain. Once it's set up, it is very easy to maintain. Sleep mode, I cannot harp on this enough. The reason I love my Steam Deck so much is because as a dad that's working full time and I've got a couple of kids at home, I don't have a lot of time to dedicate to gaming anymore. I have every now and then I'll have a quick 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If I'm lucky, I might get 30, 60 minutes. So the Steam Deck, when I first got the Steam Deck, the ability to be able to jump into a game so quickly and not worry about enormous amount of updates and play that game, and then if I got called away really quickly, I could just press that sleep button, come back to it a couple of hours later, and it'll take about 5-10 seconds to boot back in, but I could pick up exactly where I left off. It was very, very user friendly, and I absolutely love it for that. This does it better. Okay, you don't have to wait 5 or 10 seconds. It is literally instant. As soon as you open this, the screen turns on and it boots up about a third of the way when it's open. So by the time you get to the full extension and you've got this device open in your hands, you are back to where you left off immediately. The game's automatically paused for you. You just tap the screen, unpause it, and continue exactly where you left off. That was a huge bonus for me. The overall ease of use for the software as well is exactly what you'd expect from the Steam Deck or any other handheld console or any other console. Okay, you turn it on, your games are in front of you, your stations are in front of you. Like as soon as I open this thing up here, we can see that you've got the way I've set it up anyway, I've got all my consoles down below, and it's just a matter of clicking into it, clicking on the game I want, and it boots up within seconds. It is so easy to use, and it comes so naturally to you. If you've ever played a console in your life or you've ever owned a handheld, it just comes so natural after the initial setup that you will not have a hard time using this device. The best way I can say it is it just works. Like there's just nothing to it. You do your initial setup, you spend a couple of hours, and everything there onwards it just works. Now, as I mentioned briefly before about the battery, you're going to get a ton of playtime out of this. I've had in actual game time on there using one screen only, I've had probably about 6 or 8 hours on 3DS games before I've needed to charge it, and that's over the span of a couple of days, picking this up, turning it on, not turning it off at all. I do not turn this device off. It's just always asleep. You're probably going to get that 6 to 8 hours of actual gaming for an older emulator. Whereas if you bump that up to Switch or Steam, naturally it is going to burn a little bit faster. You can tweak that by putting things like cluster tune on there to underclock it a little bit so it's not using as much power as you're playing. But you're not going to be worried about the battery here. You're going to have no battery anxiety at all. I don't charge this until it gets down to about 12 or 13%. Like I just don't think about it. It's not on my mind. Now, before we get into the things that annoy me about this device, I'll quickly touch on the things that I just absolutely love. The biggest, most important thing to me is portability. All right. The fact that I can just have this device on 24/7. I don't need to worry about doing massive updates. I can take it with me anywhere I go. If I'm in a pinch and I've only got a quick 5-10 minutes, I just need to kill some time, it's there for me. And it has literally become a part of my daily routine. Like I just have it on me all the time, everywhere I go. By far, it is the thing that I love most about this device, and it's why I've kept it on me, and it's why I think that I will until I get another device of this size and this powerful, I don't think anything can replace this for me. The screens, okay, the screens on this thing look amazing. It is small, and I love the Steam Deck because it's bigger, and I get frustrated with my ROG because it's a little bit too small. But for the games that you end up playing on this device, the screen size is perfect. The colors are gorgeous. The brightness is perfect. I just cannot fault the screens on this thing at all. And having the two dual screens allows you to have a game open at the top, a guide at the bottom if you need it, or 9 times out of 10, what I'm always doing, I've got my headphones plugged in. I'll have the game that I'm running at the top, play through that, and I've got a YouTube video at the bottom, and it's just flawless. You can control the volume for the top screen and volume for the bottom screen separately, and same with the brightnesses. So you can tweak that and have it running how you want it to run. And having that option for me, it's like having two phones. I'm playing on one and I'm watching YouTube on the other. It's just it's combined to one. It's such a nice design. I absolutely love it. Now, the build quality could be different for everyone else, obviously, depending on how yours arrives, but mine arrived perfectly. As I said, I've got no issues with the build quality. I really love it. I love the design. I'm not a big fan on the triggers. They just do keep bugging me more and more the more I use them. Luckily, a lot of the games I play don't require triggers, so it's not that much of an issue for me. But the overall build quality, I cannot fault it. I haven't been the most gentle with this. I generally just jump in the car, throw it onto the passenger seat before I start the day, and I kind of just let it sit there for the day, take it out when I need it. I'm not overly careful with this. I don't baby it. I treat it like a 3DS, and it hasn't faltered at all. And my last favorite thing is obviously the battery. Being able to not worry about charging a device in 2026 is crazy work. I didn't think I'd see the day, but I don't care about it. I've got battery packs. I don't need the battery packs with me. Absolutely fine. Never have to plug this thing in. I'm a happy gamer. Now, the things that I don't quite like. I've already said it a couple of times. The triggers. Okay. I don't know why I keep delaying it, but I know I can order new triggers from Etsy, and I can change these over or just clip some new ones on, and it fixes the problem entirely. But they just bug the hell out of me. The buttons being at the bottom, yes, it's been solved now with the TPU case, but still, I would have loved to see those buttons lined up at the top or the sides. It just makes a lot more sense to me to have them there, and this is just very, very nitpicky because the problem is solved now. But I would like to play with this out of the shell as well because it does feel very, very nice in your hands, and I just cannot do that with the buttons being at the bottom the way my hands hold it. So for me, I don't like the buttons being at the bottom. I don't like the triggers, but honestly, beyond those two things, I don't think I actually have any other issues with this device. Like, I'm sitting here, I'll edit it out, but I think I just sat here for like 3 minutes just looking at it thinking, what don't I like about this? And there's genuinely nothing. Like, my only flaws would be some, like, with in terms of software, because the build quality is fine and the software is fine. It's perfect. But the only flaws I would have with the software is just, I just want more. You know, it's not even a flaw. It's not a fault of the device at all. It's not a fault of AYN. It's just that I want more on there. I want to be able to play more games now. I want to be able to play harder games like Crimson Desert or something crazy on there just because I can. Like, it's not a fault of the device at all. I think I'm just getting a bit greedy now. I want it all. I want this little device, but I want the power of my PC in it because I'm just really in love with this bloody thing. Which, in saying that, you can play Crimson Desert on here. You can play any game you want because I've also put Moonlight on here and I can stream it directly from my PC. I get no latency issues. It looks beautiful because you got the nice OLED screen. So that's technically not even a flaw. I just don't want to have to stream. I want to be able to play it natively in my pocket. So things that annoy me, there's really not a lot, man. Like, I'm simping over this device pretty hard. I cannot fault it. So has my opinion changed from before I actually received this device in my hands to now? 100% it has. It is not just your stock standard emulation device. To me, it is much more than that. Okay, this has genuinely replaced my Steam Deck over the last 45 days. I tried playing my Steam Deck about 3 nights ago. I thought, it's been asleep for a while. I'll turn it on. Oh, SteamOS 3.8's out there. I'll give it an update. I'll try play some Persona on there. And it felt really nice. I love my Steam Deck. It is so fucking comfortable. And the big screen was really, really nice as well. But I felt like I took a step back in technology, if that makes any sense. All of a sudden, it was just a little bit too big. The blurriness on the screen was just starting to get to me. And I felt like I didn't have that flexibility to where now I could just, if I want to go to the kitchen for whatever reason, I can easily just hold it with one hand, fold it up, put it in my pocket, take it with me to the living room or the kitchen or wherever I need to go. It just felt like a little bit more of a chore. I've been a little bit too spoiled by this device. So it has genuinely replaced my Steam Deck over the last month. It has replaced absolutely everything. If I still want to invest myself in a really, really big game like Cyberpunk or something like that, I would still come to my PC for something like that. But in terms of handheld gaming and what I'm using on a day-to-day basis and what I'm enjoying the most, the AYN Thor tops it every day of the week at the moment. I genuinely do really enjoy this device, and gaming on Android is only going to get better. Just like with Linux, okay, it starts off pretty rough. The community is working on this thing every day, getting drivers updated, putting in new things that you can upload to your system if you want to, like the cluster tune, audio fixes. Like there are so many things going on, and people are trying to optimize this device so much every single day. It just adds to that experience, and it feels nice to be a part of that, and it feels nice to see the progression of that as well. So who should buy this device? That's the question that everyone wants to know. Should you get it? Should you not get it? If you can relate to any of my positives in this video, if you want something where you can just pick it up, take it with you wherever you want to go, and you don't care about playing those really massive games like Elden Ring or anything on your handheld device, then absolutely I'd be getting this thing. If you really hate tinkering, okay, if you've got no idea how to set this thing up and you're not sure the work that's going to go into it, before you order it, just watch a video. Watch a 40, 50-minute guide video, see what it's all about, because once that initial setup is done, you don't need to worry about it again. So go watch one of those videos, see what's involved in actually setting this thing up and what it's going to be like. Don't just watch gameplay or, I'm not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. Don't go and watch somebody that's getting a paid partnership to tell you to get this device. Just go and actually watch a setup video as if you've already got it. Go through the process and see if it's something that you think you could do, because it's not for everybody. If you absolutely love retro games, if you love PlayStation 2, PlayStation 2 is not really retro, but if you love PlayStation 2 or any of the older games, and that's primarily what you want to play, 100% get this device, because you're going to be able to play all your PlayStation 2 games without fault. And they just look so nice. And in a lot of cases, the AYN Thor will upscale your game as well. So it's like you're putting on HD packs to all the games you're replaying. It just feels so freaking nice. If you're a mobile gamer primarily, 100% I recommend this device. Now, I wouldn't get this device if you purely want it for Steam. I know that's weird to say considering that I primarily use it for Steam, but the games that I'm playing on Steam that I use it for are very lightweight games. Okay, I'm talking definitely not Souls-like, roguelike games and all that kind of thing. They're not power intensive, they're not battery hungry, they're very, very lightweight, easy to run games. Those are the games that I like to play when I'm on the go. And as I said, if I'm going to be playing a bigger, more in-depth game, I'll be jumping on the PC for that. Persona is a good example. I've been playing a lot of Persona lately, and that is perfect for this device. It's easy. You can just jump in and out. You don't have to worry about saving the game. You literally just close it, put it away for a few hours, and come back to it. Very, very easy experience. But if you want to play games on Steam that are a bit higher end than that, I don't recommend this device. None of the Resident Evil 4 I tried, that couldn't run. So obviously Requiem, I got no hope for that. For those bigger games, I wouldn't be buying this device at all. And now the reality is, this is just another device to add to the collection to just have a good time with. If you've already got a Steam Deck or you've already got a PC handheld that outdoes this in performance, you don't need this device. You definitely don't need it. I got it purely because I wanted something quick and easy that I can chuck on. As I said, I work full time. I got a couple of kids. It's very, very hard for me to find times to actually game. And when I do game, I still want to be around the family. I don't want to be locked in a room or stuck on the big screen. So for me, having that portability to be able to chop and change games, jump in and out when I please, is just flawless for me. So if that sounds like you, absolutely invest in it. And the prices are going up again soon anyway. So if you're going to get one, just pre-order it now. Just buy the freaking thing. So if that's what you're waiting to hear, then just do it. Just grab the freaking device. If you're still trying to decide between the AYN Thor or the ROG Ally or the Steam Deck or something, let me know in the comments below, because I'm trying to get a feel for what you guys are looking for, what you guys currently own, and what content you basically want to see. Okay, and if you found this review helpful after 45 days of real world use, please do me a favor and smack that subscribe button. If you don't want to, that is completely fine as well. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.